Welcome to another episode of Risk Spotlight's weekly operational risk news update. I am Emily Jones, and I will be sharing insights on key operational risk news updates from last week. These updates are based on content from the Risk Spotlight portal, which is the world's first forward-looking operational risk content service. The first update involves a decision by the Securities and Exchange Commission to pause the implementation of new rules aimed at enhancing climate change disclosures by public companies. This move comes as a surprise to many, as the rules were finalized in October 2021 under former SEC Chair Gary Gensler, with the goal of improving the quality and consistency of climate-related disclosures, including information on greenhouse gas emissions, climate-related risks, and the potential impact of climate change on businesses. The SEC's decision to pause the rules is likely to have several implications. While it may provide companies with additional time to prepare for the new disclosure requirements, which some have argued are overly burdensome and costly, it may also create uncertainty for companies that have already begun to implement the rules or are in the process of doing so. The SEC has indicated that it will use the pause period to solicit additional public input on the rules, suggesting that changes to the rules could be forthcoming. This raises questions about the future direction of the SEC's climate disclosure efforts and the extent to which they will align with international standards, such as those developed by the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, TCFD. The next update is on concerning rise in trend of cybercriminals earning revenue by stealing login credentials and selling them on the dark web. Over the past 3 years, data stealing malware attacks have increased sevenfold, allowing hackers to compromise over 10 million devices in 2022 and potentially 16 million more last year. These attacks have enabled cybercriminals to steal close to 400 million login credentials, averaging about 51 per infected device. The stolen credentials are a valuable commodity on the dark web, with cybercriminals acting as initial access brokers. They sell the stolen credentials to other criminals who can then use them to infiltrate corporate networks and launch further attacks. Prices for these stolen credentials can range from $10 per login up to $120 for high-value credit card information. The number of these initial access brokers operating worldwide has increased by 45% year over year, with the Asia-Pacific region seeing a near tripling of these brokers. The next update covers a new anti-fraud report from CFAS, highlighted concerning trend of increased insider threats and employee fraud in the UK, driven by the pressures of the cost of living crisis and the opportunities afforded by remote work. The number of individuals recorded in its insider threat database increased by 14% year over year in 2023, with the most common reason being dishonest action to obtain benefit by theft or deception, at 49%. The report found that reduced supervision due to widespread remote work has provided greater opportunity for employees to engage in dishonest behavior, such as holding a second job or selling corporate devices and loyalty discounts online. A concerning statistic is that 38% of employees in the database who engaged in dishonest conduct had been in their position for less than a year, up from 21% in 2022. However, 17% had been employed for over a decade, and 80% of those recorded for bribery had also been working for more than 10 years. The report emphasized the importance of organizations monitoring employee behavior throughout the entire employee lifecycle, as longer-serving personnel are still being recorded for misconduct. The organization also stressed the need for increased staff awareness through counter-fraud prevention training and a greater focus on employee well-being to support workers and mitigate the risk of insider threats. The next update highlights a recent case in the U.S., which has given rise to a new term called shadow insider trading. The case involved SEC versus Matthew Panuwat, where the SEC obtained a verdict against Matthew Panuwat for shadow insider trading. Panuwat, an employee of Medivation Inc., used confidential information about Medivation's upcoming acquisition by Pfizer to trade in the stock of a competitor, Insight Corporation, rather than Medivation's own stock. This case sets a new precedent, as Panuwat did not trade in his own company's stock, but in a related economically linked company. All public companies should update their insider trading policies to address this new type of insider trading, instructing insiders not to trade in the stock of their own company or any economically linked companies while in possession of material, non-public information. The next update is from the Anti-Phishing Working Group's Q4 2023 Phishing Activity Trends Report, which revealed that 2023 was a record year for phishing, with almost 5 million phishing attacks observed over the course of the year. One concerning trend highlighted in the report is the rise of phone-based phishing, or vishing. Vishing incidents increased by over 16% in Q4 2023 compared to Q3, representing a nearly 206% increase from Q4 2022. There was also a disturbing increase in hybrid vishing, where attackers use both email and phone. The next update is from a cybersecurity and data privacy update by Skadden Publication, which analyzed recent data protection rulings by European regulators that offer insights into the security measures they expect businesses to take to protect data privacy. The rulings come from the European Data Protection Board, EDPB, and analyze decisions made by data protection authorities across the EU under the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. The rulings cover three main types of data breaches: those caused by malicious external attacks, insufficient company practices and systems, and human error. For breaches due to malicious attacks, regulators expect to see strong preventive measures like encryption, access controls, and monitoring systems. After a breach, companies should take swift remedial steps like isolating affected systems, conducting forensic analysis, and strengthening security. In cases of breaches from insufficient practices, regulators emphasize that companies must regularly monitor the effectiveness of their security measures, even if they outsource security to processors. Remedial actions could include using multiple secure channels to transmit data and implementing mandatory breach reporting procedures. For breaches caused by human error, preventive measures should include technical solutions to avoid mistakes like mass email disclosures. Remedies may involve further employee training and disciplinary action, as well as implementing technical safeguards. Importantly, the European Court of Justice recently clarified that the mere occurrence of a data breach does not automatically mean a company's security measures were inadequate under GDPR. Regulators assess the appropriateness of measures on a case-by-case basis. And there you have it, a whirlwind tour of last week's operational risk landscape. If you want to read more about the topics I have covered and review additional content on emerging operational risk topics, then please log into the RiskSpotlight portal if you are a subscriber, or go to riskspotlight.com to sign up for a free trial. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe and keep those risks in check.